Hello, hello, and welcome to Grit to Glory Radio, episode 18. Happy New Year. It's first episode of the new year. I'm so excited to be here with you. And I will tell you that this podcast is going to be, at times I will curate things in which that I'll be like, okay, this is definitely what I am feeling called to teach on today. And there have been some things like, I guess, if you will, like percolating. And also, this is going to be very intuitive. This is going to be like an intuitive download that I just feel called to share. And it's really around this topic of course, it's the new year. And I know that as we are closing out the old year, closing one chapter, beginning a new chapter, we've been talking about this goal setting and so on and so forth. And I hope all of you had the most amazing and magical new year and that you took time to reflect and that you've taken some time to really begin to visionaire and to see already in your mind what it is that you are feeling called to design and co-create in your life this year in 2024. I love the new year. I will tell you, we had a beautiful dinner, and it's just, as I was sitting across the table with my husband at this beautiful restaurant, it's like the energy in the air, right? I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but it's one of these things where I can oftentimes feel people's energy. And the new year, I was telling him, I said, I love this. It just feels like there's magic in the air. There's so much possibility. There's so much hope. There's so many dreams. And it was just so super potent. And I really enjoyed being able to tap into that and to feel that. And I felt that even within my own body, right? Of like just hope and possibility and, just another year. I just filled up so much to the brim, pouring over with gratitude of the things and all that I've walked through personally. My clients have walked through the wins, the course corrections, so many things. And it's just like this brilliant, beautiful moment, right? So I've got to go off on a rabbit trail there, but I have to tell you, like, I just hope you had an incredible new year. And in turning the page, something I feel like that's really been percolating for me, it's so interesting. I have been being more conscious, celebrating myself and walking every day, outside of just like obviously my normal movement, but intentional with like my exercise and moving my body. And it's the most interesting thing because typically I've listened to personal development, and so that's on my phone. And, I am all of a sudden these different ideas start coming through, or these thoughts and, in contemplation. And, I found myself, I'm like, okay, how does this work exactly? I need to take notes, but I'm also walking. I need to have like octopus arms, all the things. And so I began to like transcribe text messages to myself on my Apple Watch, and I was like, okay, here we go. Anyway, some of the thoughts that came through for me though is this process of like, I read something on Facebook the other day and it really sat with me, and I think it's so important. I thought we would bring it to the podcast, and that is that it is a new year and we get to really feel into all the vibes of that, just like I was sharing with you that I've really been enjoying. And also, I have to bring in a bit of reality in this as well, even though we love to play in the quantum field here at Grit to Glory Radio. We're going to do that today too. However, a new year will become the same year if you come into it with the same mind. If there's not any intention in the renewing of your mind, it will be the same year if you are the same you. And that's why so frequently, we hear that the saddest place to go where there's, an abundant sea of dreams that go to die is in the graveyard. And I remember the first time I heard that, I thought, oh man, like it just really hit me in the gut, because I thought to myself, like, that is so true, And so I want to bring this to the podcast because I think it's so important that as we're turning the page, as we're entering the new chapter, that you do have a plan in which that it's not one of those things and that it's just like, oh, it's new, and then that wears off, and then before you know it, it's the same. Before you know it, it's like, okay, that's worn off now, and I just have to wait till another new year to be able to get that feeling again, and then maybe next year I'll also go on to, live the life in which that God's planted the desires in my heart to fulfill. So I wanted to kind of catch that here on the front end. And I feel like that what's so important in this conversation as it's transmitting for me right now to share with you is becoming really incredibly intentional with becoming an energetic match for what it is that you want. So it's one of the things that we will sit down and we'll write out our goals and we'll write out our gratitudes, right? And we'll, even on days where we're like, I'm not feeling so grateful right now. However, what I want to invite you to do is to begin to, we think that that's what's going to create the shift and that's what creates this energetic match. However, and I told you we would bring it in quantum and things like that because, I just totally nerd out on those things. Everything that it's in your heart that you're already desiring, it already exists. It's already been created. We live in this plane, though, here. It's three-dimensional, in which that we also, what am I thinking of here? We live in like a man-made construct of time. Where in the quantum, time actually doesn't exist. It's already done. It's like as though whenever you're calling in a pizza, right? You're calling in Pizza Hut or whatever your favorite pizza place is, and you're asking for your pizza and you're saying, you're being very specific about it. You're like, I want pepperoni and I want sausage or green peppers or whatever it is, okay? And then you get off the phone and then you don't hang up the phone and then go, oh my gosh, are they going to come? Is it actually going to make it? No way, man. Like what's happening is you already know. You're already you could already envision the delivery guy bringing it to the door, and you're just thinking about that yummy cheese and how delicious it's going to be and all that. You're like, oh gosh, I hope they bring the Parmesan that I could put on there, the dipping sauces and so on and so forth. You're not sitting there thinking about well, what if this doesn't happen or what if this doesn't work, which are all low vibrations. They are states really that are supportive of suffering. This piece of which so often we set goals and we do it from a place of energetically the frequency in our body. It's not an attunement with the energetic match in which that we're desiring to call in. And I see this so often as well with clients and things. Many times, I work with some incredible women, and they're doing big things in the world, and they've got big dreams, and they're just really doing incredible things. And oftentimes, whenever they come into my world, they're doing all the things, right? They're like, I'm doing all these things. I have a checklist. I've got my income producing activities, to the point in some cases in which that they are highly dysregulated and there's not a lot of joy. There's not a lot of presence in their life. There's not, they can't really remember what they love. However, they're crushing it in the business world, right? And they still have dreams and aspirations and the next goal that they're desiring. And, many, a determining, what is it? A nominator? I can't think of what the word is. I think I'm on the right track with that. But one of the things that I'm trying to say here is oftentimes one of the same things that is in common with the women that I work with frequently is that they are like, I am right here in the spot and I'm desiring to go there and I'm already working overdrive here and I'm desiring all these things, but they're going to have to come later, more times with the kids or more time with my husband or more romanticizing even with myself and self-care and it's presence, there's not a lot of presence. And so it's one of those things where it's well, if I had if this is what the objective is, and that's what I was going to say, it just came back to me. Oftentimes, one of the overall things with my clients as well is they have this deep yearning desire for freedom, okay? And so they're like, I've just got to keep doing all these things. And the thing is even if you're looking at your goals and you're like, okay, so I've got this great strategy plan and it's incredible. And listen, I'm not knocking strategy. I think that strategy is absolutely important. I'm not the girl that you're going to come to our podcast and she's going to say, oh, it's not important, not whatsoever. That is not what I'm saying. I'm also not saying that there is not any action that isn't, needed to, we have to do our part. They say faith without works is dead. Actually, the good book says that, in biblical scriptures. And so, however, it comes to this part, though, in which that so often clients will come and that's where they'll be. And they're like, this is the next big leap and this is what I desire to do. But they're almost even self-sabotaging themselves before they even get started because of some perceived pain that they might not even be conscious of because they're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that or I don't know if I can be all the things. So the frequency that they are creating from and co-creating from is one of lack and limitation, even though they're not even realizing that they're doing it. Oftentimes they might not, because what they're living in is already already in perceived pain to prevent the pain that they think that they could feel if they go on to do the thing. Okay, so I'm kind of going in a couple of different directions here. And I'm just going to trust that whatever's meant to land, that's flowing through, is going to land, and it's going to be the nugget for you that you need today. So, with that said, we can consciously begin, though, to put in practice being an energetic match for what our goals are, which will then attract and bring our goals to us faster, okay? And it's not, oh, I got to do 80 more calls today, okay? Or I've got to do 6,000 lives, or whatever it is that you're feeling that there's this expectation that's necessary. Yes, action is good. Yes, these are all different components that are important in building 6 and 7 figure businesses. However, I will tell you that the biggest transitions and the biggest transformations that Grit to Glory has seen, within our company is oftentimes when we did do less, but my frequency, okay, in which that I was consciously anchoring in moment by moment, like I was grafting like little pieces of things that would compound gratitude, that would compound joy, that would compound appreciation, that would compound empowerment, that would compound hope, that would compound celebration in my life, which kept building and building and building and building my frequency that's going to be in energetic alignment with what my goals and my desires are that I have written down in paper. And I see so often that this is something that is being sidestepped because it's like this, very masculine construct of like, well, I've just got to work harder. And I'm like, yes, and maybe not. And so what I want to encourage you to do as you are in the process of, yes, this is a new year. Yes, these are my new goals. Yes, I'm carrying my goal card. Yes, I'm visualizing. And that's the other thing that we go back to, even in the recollection board that I talked about last year. It's one of those things it's like, what does it look like for you if every day, you're thinking and being so intentional, like if you were to live your life in which it was a movie, it was a blockbuster movie on Netflix, or it's just like, Christmas Day movie that's coming out, at the movie theater. What would each day look like, in hindsight, whenever you're doing your recollection board? How do you begin to anchor in just these little moments, these little sips of gratitude, even outside of like your visualization and your meditation, which I highly, highly encourage. And any client that's ever worked with me knows that that's something that I'm kind of like, okay, so how's your meditation practice? How's that going? Because so often this is the breakthrough. This is the breakthrough, okay? This is what you are literally, and Dr. Joe Dispenza actually really breaks this down so incredibly well because he brings so much science to it. But you're literally recoding, rewiring your brain and also your body. And so therefore you are literally renewing yourself, renewing your mind. You're in a different frequency. So the things that are on the paper that you're desiring, that you're writing down, that you're visualizing, you can visualize it. Yes, that's going to help bring it closer to you because of like reticular activating system. It's going to bring different connections into your network. It's like this thing. It's like, whoa, how did this even happen kind of thing. However, sometimes if you're not you can visualize every day, you can write it down every day. However, if you're not being intentional with being an energetic match and getting on the frequency, it's the same thing as like a radio station. What you're desiring might be on this specific radio station, right? And you're dialed in on this other AM, it's on the FM radio, and you're dialed in over here on the AM AM radio, and you guys are just, the frequencies are not merging. So that's why it's so important. And one nugget that I want to invite you to take with you today is, how can I live in more presence today? How can I anchor in little sips of every moment? Because it will begin to become a practice. You will begin to, and here's the thing, as you get on that frequency, you're like, okay, now I'm tuned in, and what's going to happen is all of a sudden there's going to be things be starting to bring into your paradigm of like knowing that you're on the right track. Okay. And so you'll be like, oh my goodness, you'll begin to know. And so like, that's the time whenever you're not invited to let off the gas with it, you go in even, more. How can I anchor in even more gratitude, even more the feeling of freedom, even more the feeling of love, even more the feeling of joy and appreciation? It's so interesting. Like yesterday, as I was finished it up my workout. I did my meditation, enjoyed that so much. And then, of course, I have my journal next to me. And the only challenge I have sometimes is like when I'm in meditation, I'm in my presence. And then all of a sudden, like different things will start coming through. I don't know if that's like you, or like if we're the same in that way or not. However, I'll remind myself, okay, we're in presence right now. Occasionally, I will go and grab my book though, because I'll be like, I got to write this down. However, I was like in my meditation, and I think what really kind of inspired it was because I was in my meditation, and all of a sudden, if I'll be really honest, yesterday I had like a headache like a lot of the day. Okay. And that was like trying to be the daunting thing. However, I had the most incredible day yesterday. Like, as I finished up my meditation, like some of those things and those feelings were like replaying in my mind because I was consciously choosing presence. Okay. And even in each one of these moments that occurred within my day, I took a moment to really anchor in the presence of them. Even though like my head was like, no, you're going to pay attention to me. I was like, oh my gosh, but this. And I sat down and I started writing them down, for just a moment. And it was one of these things, as I began to write it down, I was like, oh my gosh, this was such a beautiful day. Like, it just compounded joy. I received beautiful roses from my mentor that's going to be supporting me this year. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these are so beautiful. I just love them. And I put them in the most wonderful vase. I got to curl my daughter's hair yesterday with this. I don't know if you guys, this is not sponsored. However, the Dyson Airwrap is the bomb. Okay. I'm just going to be the first to tell you. It is amazing. I was kind of like, had like, like some reservations. I'm like, really? And now I'm like, this thing is amazing. So I got to spend some time with my daughter and curl her hair and help her pick out her final college class yesterday. I cooked a delicious meal. You guys, I've got like this whole other side of me that's like coming out in 2024 of like, previously it was like, oh yeah, when you talked about like what I might make as family meals, they were not anywhere near what I'm like inspired to create now. And I'm having so much fun with it. There's like dipping sauces, and I'll like, put the food on the plate and, make sure it's like all wiped and cleaned. And then I'll put like the sauces around it. Like even my daughter the other day was like, wow, this is like gourmet. So, I mean, just like, and that's not even all the things that I put on this list, honestly. I mean, but there were just like, I enjoyed a hot cup of tea and a new mug that I got. And it was just the most amazing, wonderful thing, And so, like, even be able to sit down and write all those out and then anchoring in the feelings that you're feeling, okay? Because it's really, the thing is with the quantum is it's already existed. And once it does come to you and it comes to fruition, it's going to still feel like it is now. Only you're going to be in a different energetic match. So I want to, but you're still going to feel like the same, but you're not going to feel the same, okay? So that's what my message is for you guys today. That's what I wanted to share with you as we are in just the genesis of this gorgeous, amazing 2024. And it's just to really begin to be conscious, like with the goals are that you have put on your paper and that you're carrying around your goal card and that you're visualizing and that you're meditating on, is to become the energetic match for it. You will bring it to yourself quicker. You will align with it faster. And if you find yourself caught up in this self-sabotage, know that often that's not something that is bad or wrong. But here's the thing. We get to choose to be at cause, and then we get to change. And so it doesn't come from a place of shaming either, of like, oh gosh, I've got to stop doing this, I'm so bad. It's like also allowing yourself to work through that, like whatever's coming up for you in that, presencing that, and then playing this game with yourself of like, okay, but what if all this happens? And then just all the little different moments, taking moments for presence, for peace, for enjoying the fresh air, the fact that you got up today, the fact that, that I'm looking out the window right now and I see like just a light breeze, going through the leaves. And, I think about that, maybe like if I was out there, across my face, but even so, like the greenery, it's so pretty, even though it's winter in Florida, we do have some greenery still. I just watched a beautiful bird fly across the sky. There's so many things. And so I want to invite you to anchor that in. I want to invite you to feel that in your body more often. I want to invite you to live in that. And that is I will tell you this, it will absolutely 100% change your life. So with that, if you haven't opted into the breakthrough challenge that we're doing with the podcast, please do. It's going to be something, you're definitely going to have value in that for sure. We sent out a workbook that you're going to get to work through with the different episodes. If you found value and you know that somebody needs to hear this, look, we can't do this by ourselves. We can't reach everybody by ourselves. So I just want to invite you to share the podcast with others. If you feel inspired to, and this has made a difference for you today, or you love the podcast, give us a 5-star review, screenshot it, tag us in your Instagram stories at Charity Michelle Schaefer, and we'll send you out some swag, So anyway, have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time.